In this video, we are going to learn on colloid and surface chemistry. At the end of this topic, students should be able to define and differentiate between colloid, true solution, and heterogeneous system, identify the types of colloid, state, write, and explain the concept of lyophilic and lyophobic salts and the preparations. Students should be able to state, write, and explain the properties of colloids and explain the concept of adsorption, which are monolayer and multilayer. Colloid or collider system consists of dispersed phase and dispersion medium. A colloid is a dispersion of particles of one substance which is dispersed phase, can be gas, liquid, or solid form throughout a dispersion medium made of another substance. The dispersion medium also can be said continuous phase, also can be either gas, liquid, or solid. Diameter colloid particles will be in a range of 1 nanometer to 1000 nanometer or 10 angstrom to 10,000 angstrom. Colloidal particles are smaller than cores, which can be seen under microscope and will settle under the action of gravity. It cannot be filtered and invisible in ordinary microscope. There are few examples of colloid. If you can see, there are man-made or natural colloid. These are some examples of colloidal system in our daily life. We have milk, paint, pearl, silica gel, and styrofoam. Before we see the difference between colloid, true solution, and suspension, I want you to think about mixture. You always heard about mixture, right? So what is mixture? Mixture is a two or more substance that being mixed together. Okay, so mixture can have homogeneous mixture, and heterogeneous mixture. So example of homogeneous mixture, we have sodium chloride. Sodium chloride being mixed into the water as a solvent. So the sodium chloride will be mixed uniformly in the water, forming a salt solution. That's example of homogeneous mixture. For the heterogeneous mixture, it means that the substance that being mixed together are not mixed uniformly between each other, so it will form a layer. Example, I have oil and water. So oil and water will form heterogeneous mixture whereby oil will be on top of the water because oil is non-polar and water is polar. So non-polar will not mix with polar. True solution, colloid, and suspension are all mixture. Okay, so what's the difference between true solution, colloid, and suspension? Okay, we need to see the dispersion phase or the particles, the size of the particles that disperse in the dispersion medium. So for the true solution, the size of the particles is between 0.1 to 1 nanometer. So this will be, for example, sodium chloride that mixed with water, it will form a solution, salt solution. All right. So for colloid, the size of particle is in between 1 to 100 nanometer. So in colloid, the molecule, okay, the molecules or particles are small enough and they stay inside the dispersion medium, meaning that they will not um, sediment. Okay, it suspend inside the dispersion medium. Okay, so for the suspension, it is heterogeneous mixture where the particle size will be more than 100 nanometer. Of suspension, we have pin. Okay, the particles in pin, okay, it will is either it will sediment on the bottom of the container, or it will float on top of the solution. Okay, so we need to stir, we need to shake or stir before we use the pin. Okay, so pin is one example of the suspension. Another example of suspension will be chocolate milk. Okay,